Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I'm Soya Shokat from Digital Pakistan Special and welcome to our special segment. Today, I have been joined with Dr. Saifullah, PhD anthropologist and currently teaching in Qaid-e-Azam University. He has been with international development sector for more than 20 years. Welcome to the show, sir. Basically, you have been a part of International Labour Organization and you have worked with the labor force. International Labour Organization, and they have been working for the advocacy for people with disabilities as well as inclusive workplaces. So what do you think that the person with disabilities faces the issues in the labor market?
Thank you very much for the time. The first thing first, ILO as International Labour Organization primarily work for the workers and the employers. So what they do is they set normatives like minimum international labor standards, ensuring that inclusive workplaces and decent work. So that's their main agenda, to promote a decent work for everybody, including people with disabilities. So in terms of people with disabilities or person with disabilities in Pakistan, this is an area which needs a lot of attention and a lot of focus. Why? Because culturally, in our context, despite the fact that you are in Punjab, Sindh, Balochistan, KP or AJK or Gilgit-Baltistan, cultural norms do not create space for people with disabilities, for persons with disabilities, whether they're children, youth, adults, or old age people. Society needs to create space for them, recognize their rights, give them access to education, access to health, access to employment, access to services, so they could also live a fulfilled life. Government policies need to look at those ILO conventions, need to create legislations. Some legislation already exists, and need to ensure that those legislations which are there to protect the person with disabilities, they are implemented by both public sector and also the private sector, ensuring the 10% quota for person with disabilities is implemented across the board, whether public sector or the private sector.
In Pakistan, the organization has been working for the rights of persons with disabilities. But still, I believe that there is a lack of inclusivity in various sectors. For example, in banks or in schools, those places are not accessible to these people. So, what do you think that why there is a lack?
As I said earlier, so as a society, we do not recognize them. At a family level, we do not recognize them. So far, what the government policy has been, I'm not sure very recently, but till in the recent past, we try to silo thing, meaning there are special schools for children. So like in Islamabad, you'll see maybe in Lahore and Karachi, big urban centers, but persons with disabilities are across the country. So you cannot create special dedicated schools all over the country for them because that needs huge amount of resources. What you can do is to make existing schools and colleges and universities inclusive by creating infrastructure which accepts them, by creating training for the teachers so they can teach them, and also by promoting a culture among children, youth, and adults that they do not ridicule those people. They do not dehumanize them and they do not stigmatize them. So once they go through this whole education system, hopefully, and they've attained some education and skills training, then comes employment or business opportunities. So here we come back to your question, where you say like, okay, in the banks and government institutions or private sector institutions, why there are not people with disability finding jobs. So then these workplaces need to have code of conduct, need to have HR policies, need to have employment policies, hiring policies where they, once they advertise position, they should not only say that women are encouraged to apply, but they should also say a person with disabilities are also encouraged to apply. And when they apply, they should create a conducive environment where the person with disability and their special needs are addressed. During interviews, whether they are online interviews or during tests, in-person tests or in-person interviews, so they are facilitated and they give an equal opportunity to employment situation. And most importantly, as I mentioned earlier, there is a quota, at least I think 10% quota for all private and public sector organizations to create employment within their own workforce, to 10% quota for a person with disabilities. So they need to ensure that they fulfill that quota.
You have been to various countries, developed countries. So, what one thing Pakistan can learn from those countries in respect to the person with disabilities?
Well, we can learn many things, but I think the first thing and the foremost is the dignity that we need to learn as a society. That person with disability who have special needs, we need to respect them, and we should not ridicule them. Don't teach our children that how to respect it. We ourselves do not respect those persons with disabilities. So that's the biggest thing. So it is really important that we need to learn from other countries like European countries or from North American countries or some other countries, that we need to be respectful and we need to give them a dignity. And above all, I think that is the message of our religion also, the Islam, that where anybody who is in a challenge or who is in a need, we've been taught that we need to show compassion and we need to show mercy and we need to create justice and equal opportunities for everybody, whether it's education, whether it's employment, or whether any other matter of your life.
Sir, most people think that disability is just about if somebody can't hear properly or speak properly, or if somebody can't walk properly. But what do you think a disability is in the broader spectrum? And how do people need to look at disability in that spectrum?
So it's a very, I would say, intelligent question. The way we understand disability is I think it's a stereotyped, where if somebody cannot walk, for example, and he or she needs or require a wheelchair, or somebody cannot see, as I say, or cannot hear, so that person we classically identify as a person with disability. However, as I mentioned earlier, we need to look at disability as a spectrum. So at the one end, somebody, let's say, has 6 by 6 eyesight, and on the other spectrum, somebody completely cannot see, for example. So within that whole two ranges, through extreme position, there are people who may have difficulty in seeing. Some may be short-sighted, or maybe far-sighted, or they have a blurred visions, or they're colorblind. So there are different spectrum of it. So that comes with each and every category of the disability that you're talking about. But if you want to further expand it, as other countries have expanded the concept and definition of disability, it's a mental health has also come in. When you talk about mental health, it is not only talking about somebody like a Down syndrome child, it is also somebody who cannot cope up with life pressures, who has so much under pressure because of family, because of work, because of employment, because of abusive workplace, for example. And that person, man or a woman, could face a huge mental stress or mental problem. So that person needs a help. I would encourage Pakistan Special to also be inclusive and create more awareness on mental health issues. So this is an important area that we ourselves need to educate ourselves, but also we need to promote this broader definition of disability.
Lastly, what is one message you wanted to give to the people that are living with disabilities?
I think the one thing which we all need to recognize, and person with disability also need to recognize, if they feel that or if they experience one part of their ability is compromised or not as much as it could be, Allah has given them so many other abilities. They need to continue to have a trust and faith in themselves. And despite the challenge which their family, their neighborhood, the society at large imposes on them, they need to continue to raise their voice and demand for their rights. If you have access to mobile phone, if you have access to internet, you should share your experiences, make reels, talk about it. If you do not have access to mobile phone and internet, talk with your family. Demand that you have a right. With your family, extended family, when they come and visit you on a wedding or otherwise they visit you or on any social events, participate, engage with them, talk with them. And if they make you feel bad, tell them that you're making me feel bad. And tell them that you have a right and you have feeling and you need to be recognized that. So that assertiveness and that demand should also come from person with disabilities. They should feel confident and proudly ask for their rights.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your time.